Listen, I said to you earlier, lots going on the Welsh Senate today. I really wanted to do this. Andrew RT Davies is a member of the Senate for South Wales Central. He's been the sort of leader of the Welsh Conservatives in a variety of guises for the last 13 years. Today, he resigned after losing the confidence of almost half of his shadow cabinet. He said his position was untenable after months of pressure from fellow Welsh Tories. Some of whom threatened to quit his front bench last week unless he stepped down. We're delighted to have him join us right now by phone. Difficult connections. Andrew, welcome to Talk Drive. How are you?
Great, thanks for having me.
There's so much to this story. I'm really keen to get it out. I know you are as well. You said that a substantial majority within your own Tory group don't support you. Could you explain to my listeners and my viewers why that is? Is there a specific issue that you feel has caused that?
Well, I think you got that wrong. It was a minority, I said, because I won the vote of confidence this morning. But the minority were big enough to make me think what the medium to long-term future would be as we get closer to the Senate elections in 2026. And that's why I decided that it was untenable to carry on with such a significant minority who wanted muesli and croissants instead of a full fry-up with a side of extra black pudding on the side.
Let's just rewind that. A minority who would prefer muesli and, what did you say?
Croissants.
Muesli and croissants to an English fry-up with everything on the side. What do you mean by that?
Well, at the end of the day, we have a very mixed field going into the Senate elections. And obviously, Reform are one of the new kids on the block. And ultimately, we need to face down the challenge of Reform rather than run away from it. Because it's not a normal elections landscape we're fighting here in Wales. But so many people decided they want to look more to the constitutional arguments and some of the navel-gazing that politicians do, instead of tackling head-on the issues around immigration, long waiting times within the NHS, poor education performance, and a sluggish economy. And I'm a politician who says it as it is, and I've always been like that up front and honest and open. And for 13 and a half years, I've hopefully taken the Conservative charge here in Wales full on, and people know what they get when they see Andrew RT Davies.
How do you feel tonight, having resigned?
Well, at the end of the day, that's politics. It's the rough and tumble of politics, isn't it? I've had a good run at it, 13 and a half years. I'm going to seek re-election in 2026 at the Senate elections because I love representing the area that I was born, brought up in, and run my own family business in as well. So I have skin in the game. But ultimately, it'll be a new set of feet that'll take to the track and run round the track and fight the cause of the Welsh Conservatives as leader. But I'll be supporting them 110% and making sure that we make those gains that I think are possible come 2026.
Let's cut to the chase here. A Muslim group accused you of Islamic race baiting over an article that you wrote. You said children should not be forced to eat Halal school lunches. You were quite open about that. Seems a reasonable thing to be able to have an opinion on in a world that's supposed to be about free speech. A Muslim group accused you of Islamic race baiting. And I'm guessing, reading between the lines, Andrew, tell me if I'm wrong, certain weak-willed colleagues have, from that moment, worried that you are not the person who should be leading their party. Would that be fair? Was that the beginning of the issues?
No, the plan to remove me, I'm led to believe, was hatched back as far back as April it was. And then it gained traction over the summer months. But that group, which supposedly said I'd been baiting the Muslim community, is a group that the UK government back in the Gordon Brown days disengaged from. And far from it, I was a proud leader of a group that had 2 Muslim members in it, the only Muslim members in the Senate here in Cardiff. And as a farmer, I readily sell food into the halal food chain because it's important that people have choice when they go and buy food and purchase food to eat. And my issue and my article was written on the back of constituents coming to me and highlighting how children going to a certain school felt that they didn't have choice in the menu choices that were before them. And surely that is the role of a politician, to stand up and represent their constituents. And I make no apology at all for that. I personally believe that information is power when it comes to purchasing food and digesting food. And whether it's vegan food, whether it's meat options, whether that's halal or kosher food, people should have the choice to purchase as they see fit or make the religious decisions as they see fit. This has nothing to do with picking on one community over another. I abhor any form of racism whatsoever.
Yep. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because certainly Islamophobia, with the greatest respect, has become a subject by which many are beaten over the head with. Some people won't like what I'm saying. You wrote in Resignation, and I thought this was very interesting, that not addressing or tackling controversial subjects in Wales will ultimately lead the Tory party to electoral oblivion. I Are the Welsh Tories done then? Because from where we sit, hear me out, the Labour government in Wales is stark raving bonkers. We've had people moaning about them for months. Every day I say, what we're going to get here is what you lot have had, 20-mile-per-hour speed limits and all the other madness. Why are the Tories not doing better against the dreaded Labour Party in Wales?
Well, we are doing better because we've just run 4 recent council by-elections in North Wales, West Wales and South East Wales. So where people are getting the choice to express their votes, we're winning at local government level. There was a poll out on the weekend that, yes, I accept, had us at 4th place, but 19 points. Between the other 3 parties and ourselves, there was only 4 percentage points. That going into an election is everything to play for. And that's why I think it is really, really important that we don't shy away from tackling the issues that people want tackled on their behalf by their elected members, and speak to what people's concerns are. And that's why I say I was offering the full fry-up with a side of black pudding, and ultimately some of my colleagues wanted the muesli and croissants instead.
But it's really interesting. You talked about that poll, Andrew, a recent poll putting Reform at 25 seats out of 96. Tories at just 19. I have to ask the question, so hear me out. We've talked about how a Muslim group accused you of Islamic race baiting. You refute that. I get that. You have an article you're representing, and as a politician, which I really admire, you're saying, I might say things you don't like, that's my job, that's what a democracy is about, that's what free speech is, debate. Perhaps, with respect, the fact that you're 4th with 19% after 13 and a half years might be one of the reasons they're looking for change, or do you think it's deeper than that? You would know, not me.
I think, in fairness, it's deeper than that.
Is it ideology, do you think? Do you think it's ideology?
We took a beating at the general election, where sadly we didn't return any MPs from Wales, but we were still second in the popular vote here in Wales. We weren't 3rd, we weren't 4th, we were second in the popular vote. That gives hope for optimism going forward, with green shoots showing up in local government by-elections that we're winning seats in Wales. And after what has gone on in Westminster for the last 2 years, that has a massive impact on us here in Wales. There is now a need to roll our sleeves up and be that proactive change party that is standing up for Wales and has a bright vision for the future. And next year, that's what I intended to outline as leader of the Conservative group in the Senate. But it'll be for someone else to do that now after today's announcement. But I look forward to getting behind that individual, standing shoulder to shoulder with them and taking a positive campaign to the people of Wales for 2026. But we should never, ever shy away from challenges that people face in their daily lives, and we should call out where those challenges exist and make sure that we wipe them out.
Well, this is my next question. Just hear me out, because I'll try and do it as quickly as possible. Yes, there are green shoots of recovery. You pointed that out. Yes, you came 4th in a recent poll. There is huge momentum for Reform UK, both in this country and, quite obviously, in Wales. Today, our esteemed Prime Minister, Tir Keir, the farmer harmer, has decided that he wants to stop political parties getting large donations, because there is, of course, a rumour that Elon Musk's going to give 100 million quid to Reform. You said talking about what people are dealing with is the important thing in politics. And people quite rightly are, Andrew Davies, talking about immigration and the NHS. But it strikes me that your words, your beliefs, your forthright conviction would be far better placed being with Reform UK than a Conservative Party in Wales that's too scared to actually talk about things that matter and have ditched somebody with the balls to actually say it.
Well, all I can say is about Tir Keir. He's betrayed the British voters who he lied to. Basically, he's got rid of winter fuel allowance for pensioners, which will see nearly 4,000 pensioners die prematurely. He's loaded cost onto business that will make people unemployed through the budget that he announced in October. And ultimately, we know that'll stunt growth and increase inflation. So mortgages will go up as well then.
But forget Starmer.
Prime Minister at every turn has misled the British public.
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. What I'm saying to you is the fact that in terms of your principles, the articles that you write, the beliefs you have, the challenges that you say the Welsh people face, very similar, I guess, to the British people, does not the busted flush of the Tory party sit in a different place to where you are now? Is not Reform your future?
I was born blue and I'll die blue. And ultimately, I'll fight for the Conservative cause and make sure that the Conservative values and principles are standing strong and proud here in Wales. But the point I was making about Keir Starmer is when people see politicians lie to them like he has lied in the run-up to the election and not kept to his promises, is it any wonder people don't bother to turn up to vote because they cast us all the same?
I completely agree.
I'm the type of politician who says it as it is. I might upset people, but you know what you get when you vote for Andrew RT Davies.
And it's very interesting what you said as well when you said that the last 2 years of the shenanigans that happened in Westminster, 3 leaders, just disaster, had a major impact. But you're also right. I mean, who would have ever believed that to spend 14 years in opposition and, you know, be prepared to start? They have been shambolic. I think probably the worst honeymoon of any government. And yet many Welsh people, as I said, Andrew, would say, we know what you've got coming. I really, really admire your words. And a lot of people would have come on here bitter at being forced out and say, Sodom, I'm going to go to reform. We heard today that, I mean, I'd like your response to this. Tim Montgomery, we're here, and he's on in an hour with Kev O'Sullivan. 33 years, created Conservative Home, the Bible for conservatism, advisor to Boris Johnson, has defected to Reform UK. Yesterday, Dame Andrea Jenkins, on this show tomorrow, has defected to Reform UK. You can sort of understand why, can't you?
Well, I'm a great admirer of Tim Montgomery. I've had the pleasure of meeting him on several occasions. He's a commentator who calls it and says it as it is. Ultimately, people make their choices. But what I know I want to do is make sure that Wales prospers, and we need a change of government during 2026, and I want to play my part in making sure that happens.
Well, listen, it's a real pleasure to have you on. The world could do with more politicians like you, politicians who say it as it is. Andrew RT Davies, who today has resigned as the leader of the Welsh Conservatives in the Senate. He says that a minority of his front bench were always determined to get him out. It wasn't solely about an article he wrote about halal school lunches that he got accused about Islamophobia on. He says it's about speaking about the things that matter. And I quote, if you do not address the controversial subjects that impinge everybody's lives, the Tory party in Wales will face oblivion. I think that word, that phrase, could be given to all politicians of all parties, and I've said it every day and I will continue to say it. I don't care if you're Labour, Conservative, Reform or ever. If one thing came from America, 85 million or 84 million people voting for Trump, people aren't interested in ideology. They're not interested in virtue signalling politics. They want to be able to fill their car, fill their fridge, pay their mortgage and look after their bloody kids. This is Talk Drive.